All right, we are live. Peace, you guys. Welcome to Just Us Jenkins. If you are seeing me for the first time, I'm Jamillah, stay-at-home homeschooling mama of 3 beautiful babies. I'm also a certified Reiki master, lineage healer, generational curse breaker, spirit whisperer, and owner of healingmama.com. You guys, we are back for another episode, and I'm so excited because we have the beautiful Mercedes, okay, in the building. Elevated vibration healing, right? Vibration healing, okay? So tonight, you guys, our topic is healing with food, okay? Before we get all the way into our podcast tonight, I just want to remind you guys of some offerings. Don't forget to stop by healingmama.com. I'm offering some Mother's Day readings for the rest of this month that are 55.55. And also every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we have our Motherhood Realness Podcast. And then Sundays, your girl been slacking a little bit, but we have our readings, our motherhood readings on Sunday, okay? Without further ado, Mercedes, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello. I am Mercedes. I am a spiritual coach, a Reiki master, energy healer, and I help people incorporate spiritual practices into their lifestyle that can help them reconnect to their true essence and their own personal power. So we do that through some spiritual practices, like I said, Reiki, energy healing, different types of energy works. I also do a little bit of astrology, medical astrology, spiritual astrology, shadow work, because we know like holistic healing is incorporating everything, the mind, body, the spirit, the emotions. It's all connected. Everything affects everything else. So I'm big on, helping people try to get to the root of what's going on. So.
Ooh, I want to dive deeper on that medical astrology. Okay.
Yes, that's so interesting. I love it.
Where can we find you, Mercedes? Where would you like to be found?
So you can find me on the web at elevatedvibrationhealing.com. That's my main site right now. Instagram. I'm not really active on Instagram. I am on Instagram. I can also be found at Elevated Vibration Healing on Instagram, but I'm not very active over there. So the best way to reach me is on the website, elevatedvibrationhealing.com.
Okay. After our episode, y'all, I'll make sure to copy and paste all of her information in the description box to make it easier for y'all to find her, okay? Because, baby, folks, they like finding Dory out here.
Right.
Short attention, short memory, okay? So, you guys, once again, we are talking about healing with food. So I just wanted to start off tonight with a quote, okay? We eat to live, not live to eat. So Mercedes, what does that mean for you?
So eating to live is focusing more on nourishing, eating foods with the intention of giving my body nourishment, giving my body energy, and maybe trying to disconnect from the habits of maybe emotional eating or eating, when we're bored, or just kind of grazing because, I need something, I need it. And connecting back to that food should be fuel. Food is to fuel our bodies. It's to give us nourishment. It's to, be the health of our bodies and our brain function and how our body functions. And that is really should be the main goal of food first and foremost. So
absolutely. As a wife and a mother, I can say if I put good nourishing things, like Mercedes said, in my body, like I am on top of my game, okay? But when I'm like stressed and pressed, stress eating, snacking, emotionally eating because, there's lots of things to do and not a lot of time, that's when I am like popping off, we yelling, folks is going into timeout, things like that. So it's very imperative for all of us to nourish ourselves for sure.
Oh, yeah. So see, food affects it affects our emotions both ways, right? When we're emotional, we eat. when we're emotional, we may turn to food, but the food affects us differently too when we're eating lower vibrational foods, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but they affect us differently, and we make different choices too when we're in different emotional states.
Yes. And a lot of people talk about gut health. And I did want to touch on that a lot, because a lot of us, especially if we, you know, subscribe to the standard American diet and all the processed foods, we all have bad gut health. And I feel like it's something that we pass down generations. So I did want to tell you guys some information a little bit about that, our gut health and healthy bacteria. We are more bacteria than we are human, and research suggests that bacteria living in our digestive tract play a significant role in our overall health, for our mental health, and they contribute to a lot of health conditions and imbalances, having bad gut flora. And a lot of these conditions most people suffer from is depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, autism, obesity, diabetes, colon cancer, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, IBS. And it also has like a huge just effect overall on our bodies and our minds and things like that. And there's so many, you guys definitely do your research, but there's so many researches and studies that link this. That's why, like, every time you turn on the TV or see social media, someone's always talking about gut health and ways to improve it. What's some things that you do for your gut health, Mercedes?
So gut health is, that's a big one. That's a big topic. And, our gut is our second brain. So it's really important. And there is a huge link. It's really fascinating when you start to deep dive and do the research on the gut and really how its interaction with the brain. But the gut is, the other thing about the gut is that that's like our emotional center. That's, so all the things you mentioned, like depression and anxiety and some of the emotional stuff that's connected to the gut, we see how much more important it is. So one of the things I do for myself, even with food, is to work on eating some like fermented foods, kimchi and horseradish and like different things like that, some warming foods, things that will help improve and regulate my digestive system. And I know like right now we're kind of coming out of spring and getting ready to move into summertime, but spring is like a great time to kind of like do a reset and like focus on gut health, do some like cleansing, like, concentrating on our liver or just eating different foods for the liver. So that's a really good time because the gut, if you start to look at different types of health, it correlates with the spring. The liver, all the elements can be associated with different body parts and things like that. So the spring is typically associated with the liver, and the liver is part of, our gut health and stuff. So that's a good place to kind of start. If you want to, just start with like a cleansing or a detox, like the spring is a good, of course you can do it any time of year. You don't have to wait, like I'm going to wait till next spring to do it, but it is also a good time. So we're like spring cleaning, we're doing all that stuff, and we're spring cleaning, our bodies and our health and maybe our choices and everything. Like that's a good time for a reset.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Start eating more fresher things, some green leafy things. And my favorite, what is my favorite? I can't even think of the name, y'all. But yes, a good liver detox. What is that brand? There's this, and which is crazy. I don't know if I intuitively do it, but every spring I get the detox. And it's 2-part detox. I can't remember the name, you guys. But yeah, clean your stuff up, y'all.
Yeah.
All right. So Mercedes, what how else could we define healing with food for people who might not know?
Wow, there's so much to it, and there's so many different ways that you can tackle healing with food, or to go about it. Because we can look at healing with food from like an actual like physical sense. If there is some type of physical ailment or sickness that someone might be going through, and then they're looking to how can I incorporate different food choices into healing that particular ailment. And of course would consult with your doctors and everything um, on that too. But there's food in terms of healing the actual body. And then there's and in that sometimes people will go maybe vegan or vegetarian or alkaline or plant-based, or they just give up meat, or they're pescatarian. Like there's so many kind of roads you can go down with that, depending on what you're trying to do. But then there's also the um, emotional side of it, that we're just like healing our relationship with food. And what does that go back to? What is the root emotional thing that we might be dealing with, that is affecting how we make food choices, and what we can heal with that? So you can go about looking into that from an astrology perspective, because all of I mean, you can really go deep. All of the planets correspond with astrological stuff, and then all the astrological and signs and the planets all correspond to different body parts. So you can start to kind of deep dive and go into that aspect of it. But even, going back to talking about gut health specifically, we know the gut, and I know a couple of weeks ago you had a guest on that talked about the chakras.
Yes.
And so if we go back to the gut health and the chakras, the solar plexus is the chakra that correlates like with our gut. So you can go into a healing perspective looking at maybe that correlation and what the chakra of the solar plexus represents. And that's going to talk about our personal identity, our sense of self, our confidence, our clarity. The root chakras also, our safety, our stability. So you can start to piece together some of the emotional things that you might be dealing with or trying to heal if you're on a healing journey, even from like a spiritual perspective or something like that. What else is going on in my life that may have affected my relationship with food? If I'm an emotional eater, where did that start? Am I dealing with some confidence, issues? Am I dealing with not being able to speak up for myself? Is there some self-esteem, things that I might be struggling with? And how is that affecting my food choices, but also how my body reacts to the food? So
Absolutely.
is my digestion suffering because I'm also dealing with anxiety and some other things, because a lot of it is connected. So there's many ways to kind of go about how you correlate our food healing with food and our choices.
Yes. I feel like the more, this is what I tell my kids, the more you try new, fresh, and healthy things, it changes your palate and it heals
It
you.
does. It does. It does. And how, like, sometimes, I don't know if this, correlates with you too, but I know for me, some things I hated as a kid, I
Yes.
love now.
Me
And
too.
it's like your taste, just totally changes, or you find a new way to prepare it or something. And I was eating like some Brussels sprouts the other day, and I was like, you
Baby.
couldn't pay me to eat a Brussels sprout as a as a kid. I remember a time being like, "You're gonna sit at this table until you finish your food," and it was Brussels sprouts, and I was like, ugh, like, trying to hide them in my pocket and stay away.
Yes.
Hated them, and now I just have a totally different feeling about that, and other foods as well that I never thought that I would like, but
Right. That's
they're nourishing. So
that's exactly what I told you. You might not like them now, but when you grow up, I just want to expose you, okay? Just so you can know.
mhm.
That's the same thing too. So Mercedes, how do you heal yourself with food?
So, one of the other ways that I like to heal myself with food is, we talked about making better choices, but also just being more mindful about what I eat, how I eat, um, having more gratitude towards food, trying to eliminate one thing I've been working on personally is trying to eliminate processed foods. So eating way more, fresh fruits and vegetables, juicing, um, and eating what's in season. So kind of, altering maybe what I'm eating based on what's in season, because I try to choose more high vibrational foods. And so
Yes.
we know that the fresher a food is, the higher vibration that it carries.
Hmm.
Um, so making different choices like that, eating more mindfully, eating slower. That's like sometimes we're like,
Yes.
just like scarfing the food down. I keep seeing this trend on Instagram where people are making these videos like trying to match my partner's eating pace. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
you've seen any of these videos where it's like,
Yes.
the men are like, the food is gone. And then the women tend to eat a little bit slower. But
Hmm.
eating slower is a good thing. It helps with our digestion
Yes, ma'am.
to eat slower, but it also helps us appreciate the food. It helps us savor. When you slow down, you can appreciate each bite, the flavor of each bite a little more. I forget how much they tell you, but there is like a rule, some rule of how long or how much you should chew your food.
It's like 30 something chews.
Yes,
Yeah.
30 something, which is a lot. Like, I
I'm like,
don't know, when you sit there and start counting, you're like, wait a minute, I've been chewing this same little bite for like, 2 minutes. Like 30 chews is a lot. But you take notice of that when you're more mindful of it, to like slow down. And like I said, that helps your digestion, but it also helps you just savor the food and appreciate it in a different way.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I resonate very much with Hindu practices. And
okay.
it's a teaching of theirs that it's very important when we eat, we sit down on the ground so our chakras are nice and aligned. We cross our leg, we're in the lotus position, and eating slowly and intentionally and being quiet, even if you're in the home with your family, and how we eat with the hands and putting all the elements together, because right, each digit represents the elements and stuff like
Yes.
that. And I just think it's so beautiful. And so we've been trying in my family to adapt a lot more of that mindfulness and
Hmm.
slow and not so much distractions, because I don't know what it is. My kids are kid magnets, and usually dinner time is chaotic because everybody's like at our house, and I'm like, no, we have to start eating and chilling and just doing our thing. And
Hmm.
now that it's warm and we can get out, I can't wait to have some outdoor eating and sitting down and earthing and grounding and just being
Yes.
present. So yes.
Yes. I love that. I love the spring and the summertime, even going into the fall, but when it's warm enough to eat outside, like I absolutely love it. So I agree with you there. That's my favorite thing. There's just a different energy around the whole atmosphere. And that's an important thing too. Like, create an ambiance around your meals. And I know sometimes you just can't, like, we get it, kids coming home from school, they got football, baseball practice, and you got to come home, like sometimes you can't. But when
Yeah.
you can, create an ambiance around your meal time, set the stage, get nice plates. If you can get a nice glass that you drink your juices out of. It just put a different energy into the whole process. Even preparing your food, be mindful of your mood when you're preparing that food, because that's also energy that you're putting, into the meal. So, you know, play some music,
Mhm.
relax, just set the whole tone, from everything from, the atmosphere to the gratitude to even being mindful of infusing your food with energy. That's something that you can do, and you don't have to be, like a Reiki practitioner in order to put positive energy into
Mhm.
your food. Anybody can do that. You don't have
Ab-
to be religious. And some people are like, oh, I may not be religious, and people pray. You can still pray for you set intentions for your food, whatever you want to call it.
mhm.
But set the intention that I'm preparing this meal, I'm blessing it, I'm you know I would like it to provide energy and nourishment from my body. I'm grateful for it. We can, all those little things help, and they matter.
Yeah, Mercedes right, because when I cook, um, I'm always like, let this be healthy and nourishing, and I can stir in a clockwise.
Uh-huh.
If my kids are sick, I'm sick, I stir in a counterclockwise, But it's true, and a lot of people they'll say fast food. So whoever's you don't know who's in there cooking your food. Everybody,
Mhm.
they need to work, they need to do their thing, whatever. But a lot of the people in there, they're angry.
They're
They're pissed. They
angry.
don't they're in customer service. These customers
Hmm.
are customering, okay? And so they just throwing and flipping and flapping, and their coworkers getting on their nerves. Next thing you know, that energy's in your food and
Yep.
you're taking that in. And then the whole rest of the day, you didn't went, got some lunch. The whole rest of the day, you barking orders at other people because you ingested that energy. So Mercedes,
Hmm.
absolutely right. You have to be more mindful, more intentional. And you see these cute little influencers, and people give them crap about it, and they make their plates so beautiful. It's like romance on a plate, okay? Self
Right.
love on a plate. We deserve that, just because we
Yes.
haven't been taught that growing up, but that's how it should be. Like, just because you are a regular 9 to 5 person or whatever you do, you deserve to have a gourmet looking meal.
Right. Why
You know,
not? Right. It doesn't have, you don't have to wait till you're at a fancy restaurant or a special occasion. I would challenge people who have, like, are not into that or haven't done that. Try to make it even try it one time next week. The next, one day that you cook something, think about making the plate all pretty as if you were, a restaurateur or a food influencer who's got to make your plate Instagram pic worthy. But
period.
just see how it changes the mood, for you when you go to sit down and eat this beautiful meal that you prepared. It looks so beautiful on the plate, and you're so happy and excited to eat it. You're so grateful for the food, and like treat yourself. And that it's such a little thing, but it can make such a big difference. So if you haven't done it, you guys try it, one day and see how you feel. And next thing you know, you might make that a habit,
Mhm.
um, and just see how it uplifts you, and changes the whole energy. And it doesn't even matter what it is. Sometimes I will have, I might just pick up something, but I'll still put it on my nice plate. I'll take it out
Yeah.
of the container if it's something I didn't cook, and I'll still put it on my nice plate. And I'll still grab my pretty glass, even if it's just water in it. Sometimes I
Yep.
might use like a wine glass or something that's a fancy crystal glass, and there's nothing in it but water and lemon. But it makes me feel different sipping my water from this really
Uh,
pretty glass. And
makes you feel
yeah,
good. Totally. And as especially because I can only speak for women because that's all I am. But for us women, like pouring into everything and everybody else, like we at least deserve a bougie glass of water. Okay. Like
really, right? Right. Yes,
from
go
my
buy a nice glass if you don't have one, or get that water bottle that costs whatever. Like, if that
yeah.
makes you feel good and it's gonna make you drink your water, get it and do
Hmm.
it. Treat yourself. Self care. We've got to go back to prioritizing self care. Everybody should, but especially the mamas and the women, who tend to put everybody else first. Like, put yourself back on that self care priority list. It's imperative.
Absolutely. Okay. Get your bougie glass. That's your
Right.
assignment everybody.
That's your assignment.
So, Mercedes, let me ask you, how are our emotions again tied to food? Because I know I've heard some people say, like, if you eat the crunchy, the spicy, these are the emotions.
Yes, well, like everything is connected, and that can go back to there is an emotional correspondence to different foods. Again, like, we talked about the chakras, but sometimes there's even different deficiencies. So, there's a thing, with that too, like, is your body trying to tell you something? Um, are you craving salty or sugar or something, and is your body trying to give you a signal of something to pay attention to? um,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be related to, like, not only your body giving signals, but also other emotions, things that you're repressing. Is there some emotion?
Mercedes? Let's see. Maybe her internet. Uh-oh. Hold on, guys. We lost Mercedes. Thank you, Jarvis. Sounds good. I appreciate you. Hold on, let's get Miss Mercedes back. Her pic froze. Yeah. Might be her internet. Let's see. Sorry, you guys. I don't know. We had a little internet connection issue. What Mercedes was saying though, like a lot of the food choices we make are tied to our emotions. I know that I am a very big emotional eater, and that is definitely something that I have been working on this 2024 calendar year of stopping, eating my emotions. Stress, I stress eat. And I feel like a lot of us, especially, everything, the food's always tied to emotion. When we celebrate, we're eating. Okay. When we give birth, we're eating. When someone transitions, we're eating. And so we're kind of conditioned and programmed to always like have food a part of our emotions. Sorry, guys, let me get a drink of water. These technical difficulties, baby. Hopefully, she'll be back on. Maybe she had to restart everything. But yeah, my favorite, because I'm curious, I want to ask her, my favorite go to thing right now for myself is spice. I love spicy things. And I know, like, those spices, is it like capsaicin? Is that the thing? Those kinds of things can be very healing for you, for your gut, for your digestion, stuff like that. But I always wondered what that is tied to. Okay. Why spice? And a lot of like non-American foods are very spicy and healing, and they have great digestion in other countries because they're not eating the processed things. Excuse me, you guys. There's been a little bug going around this last little purge of winter yuckiness, and I'm all mucusy. But hopefully she comes back on, you guys. I had all these questions for her, and she's like the healthy food guru, okay? Healing with the food. But these are all things that we can learn, by expanding our knowledge. I've learned so much over the last 10 years about food and digestion and all those things. Um, Definitely the biggest thing is getting rid of the processed foods in your life. Let me see. I'm scared to get off because you guys, my thing always bluffers if I freaking get off. But hopefully she'll be back. I had mentioned earlier before, like 2024 so far has been a very big year for me in healing my relationship with food and like recognizing my emotions and my triggers before I just mindlessly eat. I've been being very much more intentional with my eating. And like Mercedes was saying earlier on eating for the seasons, implementing fresh things. Okay, I think she's back.
Okay, give me.
All right. There she is.
Okay.
I got nervous.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It probably was an internet connection.
Hopefully you can hear me okay on this.
I can hear you.
To my phone. Okay.
We were talking about how like our emotions are tied to foods.
Yes. So there's so much different types of emotions and different parts of us that can be related to food and our food choices, and just whether we're getting into like our security center, and why we're choosing certain foods, and is there other imbalances and things. Like, I know even when we talk about like Ayurveda, I don't know if you're familiar with Ayurveda, but that Ayurveda sometimes talks about eating and food choices that help balance the energies, in the body, and different things. So, if there's a deficiency here, you might increase, your warming type foods, or your cold foods, and your damp foods. And
yes,
that kind of relates into, there's some aspects of medical astrology that you can look at too, and look at yourself, your your individual makeup based on like your chart, and see where there might be different imbalances. Not, I want to use the word imbalances, but things that are maybe dominant, and that can affect your body as well. And that might play into, as you start healing with food, maybe you make different choices. If you're someone who maybe has a lot of fire energy, which can also be related to emotions of frustration and anger. And so how do different foods that we eat affect that? Are we eating too many hot things and spicy things? And, do we need to balance those type of foods with more, cooling or moist foods? So, and how was that going to affect our moods and our bodies? Because it's all connected. Again, so you can look at different avenues like that, as well as some complementary supportive things on your healing journey too.
Yes, that's what I was saying during our brief intermission. Like the end of last year, the beginning of this year, I just want the hot, spicy pepper. Okay. And I did. I needed that fire energy to burn some things up. Okay. I really did. So
Yes.
that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. And now I'm just ready for fresh, juicy, refreshing foods, you know?
Mm-hmm. Cooling stuff. So like, yeah, like I'm so excited getting into the summertime and like watermelon season and just, all the cantaloupes and the
Yes.
peaches and, all those different types of fresh fruits.
I can't wait to go to the farmer's market. My husband
Yes.
and I agreed that we are farmer's marketing the heck out of the summer, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good because the food is, even when you're talking about, eating fresh fruits and vegetables, where we get them from, if you can,
Mm-hmm.
the ones from the farmers market are going to be fresher. There's less there's less transit. There's less, it's picked fresher.
Yes.
Because we know sometimes with like grocery store food, sometimes it's picked before it's really right because they have to do a lot for, travel time and time that it's going to sit in the grocery store. And then we're not even going to get into the chemicals and the sprays and all that stuff
Yeah.
affects things too. So the farmer market, even though it's still a fresh fruit or a fresh vegetable, is going to have a slightly higher vibration to it than the fresh fruits and vegetables from the grocery store, as well as if we grow some of our own things. So if
Yes.
something you grow in your backyard, like that would be ideal. I know, all of us can't grow everything all the time, but if you can grow something, grow something yourself too, even if it's just a small little herb garden.
Mm-hmm.
You can grow on your windowsill in your house if you don't have space to do a whole garden outside. You can
Absolutely.
put a little rosemary plant right there in your kitchen, and that's going to be a great way to also infuse your food, with your energy. You grew it, yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be the freshest and the highest vibration.
I absolutely miss gardening. We always had this sweet little garden at our house. And so I'm trying to kind of figure out, because this is our second summer where we've been, I'm trying to figure that out,
Mm-hmm.
the sun and everything. So yes, everybody grow your food, support your local farmer, and if you're into eating meats and things, support your local butchers, all
Mm-hmm.
those things, because they're going to have way less, like they said, chemicals and trauma, okay, compared to what we get in the store.
Absolutely. That is a huge thing. The trauma, if you still, those who still choose to eat meat, that makes a difference. Sometimes people that, raise animals just with a slightly different intention or care, even though we're
Yes.
still, going to end up consuming them, but there is a difference between farmers and local farmers and the industry
Yes.
meat. So
Mhm.
that's a good choice too if you're still going to eat, to try to get it from someone local.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Mercedes, please tell us how processed foods affect us.
Processed foods affect us. They affect our body completely. They affect our emotions. They're lower, like we talked about, the vibration of food. So um, processed foods are going to be they're all the way at the bottom. So if we're trying to make better, high vibrational food choices, we want to try to stay away from the processed foods as much as possible. And I think sometimes, as much as we start to heal other aspects of ourselves, when we do the emotional work, the draw and the cravings and things for those lower vibrational or processed foods, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
And your body doesn't crave them anymore. And this is probably a topic for a different day, but then there's that whole thing about the parasites.
Oh,
Um,
whoa.
and
Yeah.
that's a big like buzzy thing going on right now too, like parasite cleanses, and there's so much to that. But that can play a role too into some of that, the processed foods, and maybe why we're choosing them or having cravings towards that stuff. So we do want to eliminate the process. And it's like, it's foreign to our bodies.
Right.
They're not natural. So the way your body is going to process that type of food is going to be different than the way it processes something natural. And that's just going to have an effect on us, our digestion, our gut. It just is. That's, it's connected.
Absolutely. And there's tons of studies out here. And, I'm a mom. I have tons of mommy friends. And a lot of them can attest to feeding your child a homemade meal where it's balanced with, living foods. Okay. And like Mercedes said, you're choosing to still, just animal products versus going to get a Happy Meal or something like that. It has an effect on our children for sure. Kids are they're fun. They are high vibrational, high energy. But there's a difference between that and cranky, temper tantrums, stressed out, active, overstimulated, and all the chemicals and the dyes, they really truly do have an effect on all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, every once in a while, we have to have duality, we have to have balance, but prioritizing making fresh, healthy meals for your family. Because I was even talking to a friend about this the other day. A lot of people in America grew up helper, and pass down that tradition to your children, things like that. They'll still go to grandma and grandpa's house, and grandma and grandpa will make stuff like that. So instead of making the box meal, go and get some nice high protein pasta and make a beautiful sauce. If you can't make your sauce, find a nice organic sauce and maybe a plant-based meat, or like Jason, I said earlier, if you're still ingesting meat, go into a local butcher, or how do you say it, Mercedes? Halal, is that the word? Halal?
Yes, halal, I think is
Yeah. Find that type of meat and make your stuff that way, some raw dairy for your cheese, things like that. There's different ways to tweak it. And I feel like the biggest thing that I've ever heard from any mommy friends when I'm like, oh girl, let's put you onto this bougie little recipe, they're like, girl, that's expensive. Like, just go. I need to go to the big box store, get my stuff, go home. But I don't know, guys. You can just tell the difference. Okay. Don't knock it till you try it.
Right. Exactly. And like, even I'm trying to move away from even myself, like I'm plant-based, and the plant-based meats, because a lot of it is still processed.
Yes.
So one thing, like my new thing is the walnut meat. I don't know. Have you tried making walnut meat? So like making the walnut meat with the walnuts, and I use mushrooms, and I've kind of like perfected it and judged it and kind of got my recipe down now, and use that in place of ground beef. And I made something the other day with that, and I was like, you cannot tell at all that this is not like ground. And sometimes it's like you make the alternative stuff, and it tastes good. You still get it to taste good, but it's not meat. And this particular day that I had made this spaghetti with this walnut meat, I was like, you couldn't tell.
Ew.
You absolutely could not tell. And I was like,
you put your feet in that.
I did a thing. But yeah, there's, experiment, and it's a lot cheaper. It's not as expensive as you think. Sometimes when you're first starting to change like the way you're eating, it seems like everything is so expensive. And let's not lie, like food prices have absolutely gone up. Things are like some days I was buying like some lemons or limes the other day, and they were almost $1 each. I was like, For one, like when
It's
did
rough
you
out
know?
here.
So yeah, we know things are, the prices are changing, but you can still make choices that don't make it so overwhelming. Like it's not as expensive to eat better as we might think.
Right. Peace to everybody that's in the chat. Carly Hoffman said, yes, yes, yes. This is one of my favorite topics. We appreciate you, Boo, for being
Okay.
here. Absolutely. Just making those nice little tweaks. And you have to think of it this way: the more we come together as a collective consciousness and make healthier choices and all decide one by one, whatever timeline that is, to stop supporting certain avenues, those avenues won't exist anymore.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Well,
So I I have a friend that she always says, "Oh, it's so expensive, Jamillah, it's so expensive." But I'm like, girl, what's more expensive? The things you're buying now and consuming now, or the medical bill later?
that's the thing. It's like invest, you can make the choice now to invest in healthier options or even more preventative thing and lifestyle, or we could pay for it later in medications or illnesses or
Limbs.
different things. Yeah, so invest in yourself the same way we invest in clothes or shoes or make whatever our thing
Yes.
is, which is okay. We spend money where you want to spend money. That's okay, but putting our health and our food choices should still be like a priority
Yep.
on that, and it's worth investing in our. We get one body.
Mm-hmm.
We get one body, and so we should try our best to take care of it the best way that we can.
Absolutely. And health is wealth, baby.
Health is wealth. Yes, it
When you
is.
got that good health, you be the richest lady, man in the world,
Uh-huh.
okay?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
And if you don't have no friends and family that's telling you that, get you some new friends and family.
Okay. Really. Get you some different people.
Get you some new folks.
Right, right.
All right, Mercedes. How can we implement more cleaner eating, for us regular folk out here?
Experiment. Try new things. Go to the grocery store this week or the next time that you need to go, and just pick something different.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick something. Look at something, and if you like salads and you're like, okay, I can eat salads, I can do that. That's cool. But your salad is always um, iceberg lettuce and maybe some tomatoes and some onions and mushroom. Whatever your thing is, but look at something you've never gotten before and try it. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
start like you can even start with like, let me try to add more color. So how many colors can I get into my salad? So I have all my basics that I usually get, but what are these watermelon radishes or something? I've never had that
Yes.
before. Like, what is that? Just pick up one thing different and try to implement it. Start looking up different recipes, or if you are on social media, start following some new food influencers and different things, and
Yes.
try a new recipe, try a new juice
Mm-hmm.
that you've never tried before, or challenge yourself to maybe we're not going to drink. I live in the South, and sweet tea is like the drink.
Yes, baby.
That's it. It's like sweet tea. So maybe this week you try some different herbs and you make your own tea, or you just try a juice.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to buy fancy equipment and $500 juicer or anything like
That's
that. If you've got a blender or something, blend
blended
up some
great.
juice or make a smoothie with some different things this week. But just challenge yourself to try one thing different that's a healthier, higher vibrational choice this week. So a fresh fruit, a fresh vegetable, something different, and just start there. Let's start small. It doesn't have to be this huge, because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make a big, huge change, especially those that are maybe trying to transition from being maybe a meat eater to like a plant-based eater, and just that whole, like, overwhelming to just flip the switch and
Yeah,
make that change all at one time. But, make little choices, start small and work your way up to it.
absolutely. And I honestly think the biggest thing that we can do if we're trying to eat more cleaner, make your own stuff. Make your
Yes.
own, like I know we're in a fast-paced society. Everybody's working, they're grinding their own thing. But I often hear people say, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. When you are at home on your weekends, meal prep for your week, you and your family. Or even if it's the simplest thing of just dicing and chopping vegetables for your meal or whatever. Or you can boil your pasta in advance if you eat stuff like that. Or like Mercedes said, if you want to make your walnut meat, or if you are still a meat eater, marinating your clean meat with this, that, and the third, or things like that. And one thing I always tell people is add more leafy vegetables to your meals. Like my favorite thing, I just like to get a bowl and throw everything in there. Like even if I make pasta for me and my family, this is the weirdest thing, but I'm going to eat my pasta on top of some spring mix, some organic spring mix lettuce, you know, and just implementing stuff like that. I love doing that. Carly said, I was just going to say that you are investing in health and wellness or illness and disease with the food you choose. And I would much rather spend money on better choices.
Yes.
Okay, and Carly is a registered nurse, so you better go ahead, Carly.
Okay, so she knows. So right, like make better. And I think you and I had talked once before about. I love Buddha bowls. I
Yeah.
love just getting a big bowl, and I like to have a nice bowl. And I, went somewhere and like found these bowls that made me happy.
Yes.
Pretty bowls, but I love like filling a bowl and just throwing all kinds of different stuff in there. But I try to make like the vegetables the bulk
Yes.
of my bowl, and then throw in whatever else. But
Yes. And try some different grains like black rice, quinoa, even like couscous. Like try something different. One thing, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, we are a pasta family. But one thing that I'm doing differently, I've been getting the chickpea pasta. And
yes,
they got that right at Costco. They got that right at Sam's Club. They have it at Walmart. They have it at Kroger. Just doing that, implementing that different little change. And my kids are pretty. They're not really picky. I mean, they can be a little bit, but they can't tell the difference. Like they think it's just the regular American beauty pasta that we eat from time to time. Like just making subtle changes. Like Mercedes said, absolutely follow some people. There's this lady that's trending. I don't know, maybe you've heard of her. She's a supermodel. Her name's like Nora. Have you heard?
yes, I know who you're
Baby, I
talking
want to be
about.
like Nora when I grow up. I want to be making my baby. Okay, I want to be making
Like
my.
make everything right. Like, oh, I wanted this, and I went and yes, absolutely.
I love that. And
And yes,
don't forget about Auntie Tab. Tabitha.
yes, yes. But and you'll start to enjoy. I mean, if you're a food, I'm a foodie, so I like to cook. I like to cook. We don't eat out a lot here, so I don't mind it. It's my thing. But then I just love. I started even just with making my own salad dressings. That's a small little change, and they taste so much better than the stuff in the jar. And once you get used to it, it's really quick. It's not even something that it's like, I don't have time for that. You could whip up your own salad dressing in less than 5 minutes.
Yes.
And that's like a small little change. Really easy to do, makes a big difference. All these, little small things, but now I love it. I love experimenting with new dressings and, um, cashews and walnut and blending them up and making different sauces, and you kind of just like get into it the more you start to try new things and do things for yourself and just get creative and have fun with it. That's an important part, because remember we talked about the energy that we're putting into food.
Yes.
So if you're going into it dreading it, like, oh, I don't feel like it, I don't want to be bothered, I don't have to, that's going to affect your thing. So try to, have fun with it.
Absolutely. And the more we do healing on ourselves, y'all, like inner child healing, shadow work, balancing, aligning our chakras, if you do, work with any practitioners on different modalities and stuff, that also heals our relationship with food too. Because once again, like Mercedes said, that's usually the reason why we make certain food choices. I'm still working on it. I'm healing my relationship right now. Big overeater, overindulger. Like my North Node is in Taurus, so I love me some food. I love it. Okay. If I wasn't married to my husband, I'd be married to some food. I'm just
because Taurus loves Taurus, it is the indulgence, but also Taurus, beauty of everything, the opulence of everything, the savory of everything. So Taurus, they want to enjoy the finer things, and food is one of those things.
Yes.
And Taurus likes to indulge.
Oh, Miss Legacy's in the building. She said, "Hey y'all,
hey Legacy."
That's my boo. All right, Mercedes. How can we make the standard American diet more high vibrational?
So I think we talked a lot about this. If we've got to still choose things the way we can, the best we can. So even if you're still, eating the standard American diet, we can make different choices. Let's throw something out there. Maybe you still eat eggs. That's okay. Maybe we change to, farm fresh eggs or organic eggs, or the back to the farmer's market again with our choices. Maybe we choose a different grocery store. Those are little changes where we're still following. Maybe we're buying the grass-fed meat or the grass-fed butter, or something like that where the animal, the way the animal was treated, they're treated with more respect, and that's going to affect their vibration, which affects the vibration of that food. So even if we're eating something that may be normally considered maybe a lower vibrational food, we can still make a choice within that level to make that food as higher vibrational as we can. And then also we can always set the intentions as we're cooking, as we're then consuming the meal. We can infuse the meals with our energy. We can use crystals.
Mm-hmm.
You can still use crystals with you. I love to use a copper pyramid with my food. Sometimes I will just I have a couple of them, but I will keep some of my fruits and things that don't need to be refrigerated. And on my counter, I have them sitting under a copper pyramid. Oh. And it was funny. Like I did a test because I was a little skeptical, of that science at first before I really got into it. And I did, my own kind of experiment where I bought a couple of fruits and put them both on the counter next to each other and put some under the pyramid and some not, to see, like, is this really making a difference? And it did. It did make a difference in how it lasted. So I love to charge my food under the pyramid and use copper. And like I said, you can always, if you're into crystals, it's not everybody's thing. But if it is something that you're into too, you can get some crystals. Put some crystals just around your kitchen, even if you're not, wanting to, charge your food with the crystals. But just change the energy of your environment. Can make a difference.
Mercedes a Reiki master as well, and when I first learned Reiki, girl, I was Reiki every night. Okay. But I had forgot until Kui reminded me. start putting your Reiki symbols back on your food, and it is a game changer. Like,
Absolutely.
just in that intention. And I think that's why one of the reasons we've gotten so far away from, like prayer and affirmation. When you speak positivity over your food, especially because the food that has the water, we're made out of a certain percentage of water, and the food that has the water, when you speak those affirmations, those intentions, those prayers over the food, that goes into your body.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. There is a great book. If anybody hasn't read it yet, it's by Dr. Emoto, and it's called The Hidden Messages of Water.
Yeah.
And, that is just a fascinating book and study on the effects of water, the vibration of water, how it can change, um, speaking into your water. So, as we're talking, you can speak into your water, you can speak into your food, but set the intentions into things. But if you're like new on this path, I highly recommend checking out that book by Dr. Emoto and seeing those studies on how conscious intention changes the structure of water. And like Jamillah mentioned, we are made up mostly of water. So the conscious intention that we can set into our foods can make a humongous difference.
Oh yes. Oh yes, absolutely. Definitely check out that. And there's like awesome videos circulating on social media about that too. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes, how else on a daily practice, just to drive it home, just drive it home now, how can we heal our relationship with food? Like, how can we be more healing with it?
I'd say the biggest thing is be intentional and be mindful and keep track. Like, I know we're crunched for time and different things, but keep track of how you feel, even if you do it for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe try to do it for a week, but kind of log everything that you eat and try to make notes about what you're feeling for that day. I woke up happy, I woke up sad, I woke up feeling overwhelmed, I'm stressed today, what I got going on. Make notes of those things. Make notes of what you ate, the food choices that you made for the day, and then how you felt after you ate those things. Did they affect your moods in any way? And then did they affect your body in any way? So start to pay attention to those things. I think that is one of the most important things, is to kind of track, and then you can start to make adjustments there and notice the relationship that your choices are having with your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and then notice the relationship that the food is having on your body. Like, every time I eat bread or whatever it is, like, I feel tight and bloated after, but I choose bread when I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And so start to make, when you keep a log, you can start to notice those correlations, and then I think that can be the first place to help you jumpstart in what you do differently going forward.
Right. Okay. I just want to touch on it real quick because we're gonna have to come back for another episode on this. But what beginning herbs, okay, for people who want to change their relationships and heal with food, what do you suggest, Boo?
Oh, okay. Herbs. I love starting with rosemary. I think rosemary is a good one. Um, Peppermint,
Yes.
ginger. Get some ginger, y'all. So many benefits of ginger, and you can use it in so many different things. Um, we talked about the liver, so I'll say milk thistle is a good one to have. Tulsi, um, calendula is another one I think is good, a good beginning herb. Um, Basil. And some of these are really common. Like you don't have to, it's like, oh, well, I'm not an herbalist and I don't know. These are really, really common. Maybe milk thistle, not as common, but some of these other ones, lemon balm is another
Yes,
good
lemon
one
balm.
that comes to mind. And you can get those, you should be able to get them pretty easily, fairly locally.
Yes.
So
I
those
have
are good.
oregano is one of my, I put that on everything. I love
Mhm.
oregano, cinnamon, um, cinnamon,
Cinnamon, yes.
blood pressure, dandelion. Like if you drink coffee and you want to switch it up, try yourself some dandelion tea. Like
Mm-hmm.
that peppermint tea. That was my favorite tea. My favorite aunt taught me how to do that when I was a kid, and that was the best tea. And still to this day, that is my hands down my favorite tea with a
Yeah.
little bit of lemon and some honey.
Uh-huh.
It's a wrap. Carly said, she said, not one body is the same, and what works for some will not work for others. So you gotta tap into you, and that's all. Period. Okay.
Absolutely. That's the thing. You have to get to know yourself and
Mm-hmm.
your body. And that's why I said, like, keep a journal and keep track, because what works for somebody else may not, because we are all different.
Mm-hmm. I really like clove. I add clove to a lot of
Oh
stuff.
yes, cloves. Mm-hmm.
Like anytime I make like oats or whatever, or sometimes we do like brown rice grits. I add it. I love it. Um, Legacy said, these are great suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, yes,
You are
yes.
so welcome. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on waters. What are your suggestions for waters?
So water is such a thing, and I am still learning and adjusting and changing myself, because every time I think I found like a good water, then I hear some study and it's like that water is really not good, and it's like,
Right?
well, what are we supposed to drink then? I don't know. So fresh water, spring water is my first choice. There are places where you can find fresh spring water in your neighborhood, in your area, your local area. So there's a website called findaspring.com that you can look into that and go get some fresh water. Um, you may want to do your own research and testing and see what you need to do, to drink that, but that's um, a thing. I tend to drink, what is it? The water that comes, I try to buy water that comes in glass if I'm
Yes.
buying water. If you can filter, your water, but I try to buy the water. I can't think of the name right
It's the
now. Hidden Valley, I think.
Mountain Valley spring.
Mountain Valley, the green glass.
So good.
But I'll drink, other spring waters, but that is my preferred water. But I like to eat my water too. So um, watermelons or cucumbers, fresh juices, I will do as well. But as far as if I have to purchase bottled water, then that's my go-to.
Yes, you guys want to be getting your H2O and your H3O from fresh fruits and veggies. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And that's what we do too. Like we have this natural spring source like right in our city.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily we moved even closer to it. But we'd always do like Arrowhead, we do the Mountain Valley, stuff like that. But now we just go, we get our fresh water and call it a day. And I can
Yeah.
just feel so much more hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just fresh. So it really does make a difference. Make sure you guys are hydrating yourself.
Yes.
Don't
Because a lot of issues too, we're dehydrated. So make sure you're drinking you're drinking your water.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Mercedes, tell us again where we can find you.
You can find me at elevatedvibrationhealing.com. Come check me out, grab a service or a consultation. We could just do a chit chat if you want to just have some support on your beginning your healing journey. If you want to look at your astrological chart and see if there are any aspects in there as well that can help support you. on your journey with food or anything else related to your healing journey, or get an energy healing service, that's where you can find me.
Yes, I appreciate you and give so much gratitude for you being here with me.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolutely enjoyed you as always. You are just a shining light with the best energy, and I just love you so much. You are so amazing. So thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And I want you to come back because we're going to get into these herbs.
Okay, absolutely. Anytime.
All right, you guys, thank you for everybody who joined us tonight. We appreciate you. Legacy said you are both so gorgeous because we're reflections of you, Legacy. Oh, wow.
Thank you.
And we're going to see you in the next one, you guys. So make sure you look out for in the description sharing Mercedes information, and make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that. Okay. And
all of the things.
Fun.
All right. Bye-bye.
We did it.